Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Cookies Enabled. Today we're talking about the Onewheel. I've got mine here and let's get on the road and let's all learn something new. Hello everybody, I'm back, and like I said, today we're going to be talking about the Onewheel. So, I'm here with my Onewheel. This is their pint model, that's what they call it. And today I just want to go through some of the aspects of its design, its history, what people think about it. You've seen these people riding them around your city, I'm sure. You've seen a lot of it online. This is another Onewheel video going up on YouTube, but it never stops being excited. This is one of the best things I've ever owned. It's so much fun to ride. You couldn't imagine. Unless you've ridden one, then you understand. But we're going to sit down in a minute. We'll go through the history of how Onewheel became a thing, how Futuremotion started, where they are today, and just answer hopefully some of the questions you might have. Go through some of the safety aspects of it as well, what you should know before you get one, such as always wear a helmet. Yeah, this is mine. She's lasted me over 2,000 miles already, and it's still going strong. I'm really excited to delve into some of the heavier details of it, and we will do that in just a moment. So stick around and you'll learn even more. Okay, so you saw how it basically moves. You saw me coming up. This has been around for almost a decade, and not a lot of people realize that it's been a thing for so long. They've really only come into the public eye in the last few years as they've gotten more popular, as they've released newer models, and we'll talk a bit about those in a moment. But this is one of their older models, definitely not the first. So first thing is, how did Onewheel even get its start? So the Onewheel is made by a company called Futuremotion, and they were founded in 2013 by a man named Kyle Dorkson. So Kyle had an idea for designing a board that would run on a single electric motor with only one wheel on it, similar to your older concepts. We all remember the Segways. There are other styles out there. You have your electric skateboards, you have your electric unicycles, but this was a little different. The Segways, the hoverboards as they call them, the electric unicycles, those are, you're facing forward. And in my experience, I've found that seems kind of counterintuitive to an easy ride. Maybe I'm wrong. If you have one of those, let me know. But the style of riding on this seems a lot more stable. It's much more like a skateboard, or more like a snowboard, honestly. It carves like a snowboard. You can maneuver with similar body motions. So we had this concept of, let's make this work, and the original model was far from what you're looking at these days. The original was basically some metal rails with some foot pads, go-kart wheel, and it actually had an electric motor hooked to a chain, much like a bicycle, which would run along the side through the axle of the wheel to the motor in the back. Now, obviously, that was very clunky. It was a proof of concept, but that was how they got their start, and it was a Kickstarter that really gave them the funding to work on that research and development and come up with something more similar to what you're looking at today. So their Kickstarter started off in 2014, January 6th to be specific, and I believe they had an original goal of roughly $100,000, but very quickly they amassed over $640,000. And for a small startup concept like this, that's a lot of money. It gave them even more capital to research their ideas and to come up with designs and test things and figure out what would actually work. And the result is what we got, the original Pint, not the original Pint, I apologize. And their main model, the Onewheel Plus, came out in 2017. So you have 2 years of very intensive testing, redesigns, iterations, what would work, what would not, what's safer, what isn't, how do we build the electronics in this. And so 2 years later we get the original. The Onewheel Plus comes out in 2017, and their big model, the big boy, the Onewheel XR, came out in 2017. You probably see those more often than not. They're very distinguishable. They have a wooden edge along the foot pads. It's a very classy design. I think it looks beautiful. It's a little larger than this. It has concave foot pads, but they wanted something, I think, better for streets, better for just cruising around town, which is what I do. I ride this to work. I ride it a few miles around town, and it gets me back and forth. And it's the smaller size. It's a compact frame, and the completely treadless wheel really does a great job of giving you the best range per battery life when you're going around just on pavement. If you're one of those people that's into mountain biking or getting out on trails, they have the XR, obviously, which has a treaded tire. It's a little larger, has a bigger battery, farther range. That's really good for trails. And they even have races for these. XRs tend to be better on the races from what I've been able to see and from the videos I've watched. But you do see some kids just killing it on these trails. I've seen videos of 10-year-olds just ripping through these trails. It's really impressive. I wish I could do that, but I'm a little older. I don't have the insurance for that, and I'm pretty sure that I would break a bone or two. Somehow in a little over a year. I have not yet. Probably going to happen one day, but let's hope not. Either way, this is great for cruising around town, and they've released a few more models recently. The Pint, this one came out in 2019, and this was one of their most solid models, I think. Everybody loves this one. The XR, it does come down to price too. These things are not cheap. The Pint retails for, I believe, around $1,000 to $1,100 depending on the kit you get. I got the fender with mine, which kind of protects your legs from any dirt or dust or water that can kick up from the wheel. This is removable. You can ride it without it, and a lot of people do. But I got the fender, so about $1,100. That's the issue. The XR would come in at about $1,700 to $1,800. They have released a few more models recently, though, which comparable price, but because of advancing technology, especially when it comes to the battery cells and just what they've learned over the almost decade of research that they've had, the newer models are absolutely fantastic. And those newer models, they just recently, last year, released the Pint X, which is an upgraded version of this, and they have the GT, which is basically an upgraded version of the XR. So, basically, the original Pint here, I have a range of around 8 to 10, maybe 11 miles on one charge, depending on how hard I push the board, if I'm going up hills, if I'm really, pushing it to its edges. The XR had a solid range of, I want to say, 18 to 19 miles. The newer ones, however, the Pint X, has a range close to that of the original XR. We're looking at 18 to 20 miles, 32 for the GT, as some people have found. And there are a bunch of mods on the market. We'll talk about some of the third-party aftermarket here in a moment. But for, I live 2 miles outside town. I ride this into work. That's not that far. I can ride it to work. I can ride it home on one charge. I usually drain the battery just because I enjoy taking it out, riding around the beach. That's where I am today. I do apologize if the wind is a little noisy, but for all of the purposes that I want it for, this has been a fantastic purchase. Somehow, like I said, have not fallen yet in 2,000 miles. A lot of people have. That's why you have to look into safety. We'll check that in a moment as well. But again, it's a basic concept. So what you basically have is one giant wheel with an axle through the center, and that links to the frame of it, which is made out of aluminum. So the frame is lightweight. It is still heavy because of those lithium batteries, but it sits and balances on its own once it starts going. So the motor's right here, right in the center of the wheel hub. Just an electric brushless motor, just a big ass version of what you'd see in anything else, Tesla, a drone, something of that sort. And you have 2 foot pads. Now the back foot pad's just basic foot pad. It has grip tape similar to skateboard. The front foot pad, however, is divided into 2 different sensors. And if I tilt it, you might not see it on the camera, but along the center there's a few dots to give you an idea of where that is. And what that does is it lets it know when to activate the motor. In order for it to activate, you have to have your foot on both the rear and the front sensor. And that's one of their safety protocols, so you don't accidentally get it going when you didn't mean to. And so you put your back foot on the back, obviously, front, and when you lean forward, all of the electronics in here recognize that you are leaning forward. Now, in the back here, you can see in the 2 plates, the batteries are stored in the back. There's a cable that runs into the motor, and all the electronics are stored up in front. And there's a lot of hardware that goes into these front electronics. You have at least 3 gyroscopes and accelerometers, and that tells the board exactly how it's positioned in 3D space. They programmed in the angle of where it is at rest, obviously. A lot of software development had to go into these in order for it to actually work. But as you get on it and you lean forward, those gyroscopes tell the motor that it's time to turn on, and when you lean forward, it engages and it moves in that direction. Now, the Pint has something really cool they call, I think, Simple Stop. Yeah, Simple Stop. And that allows you to slow down, and once you're under 1 mile per hour, if you slow and you lean back, it knows that you're trying to stop, and it disengages the motor. Some of the previous models, the XR, and even this one across the board, you can turn that off. In order to stop at that point to disengage the motor, you just lift your heel off of that rear foot pad, and that tells it you're no longer trying to ride, and it cuts off the motor. There have been some issues. One of the newer models, the GT, has had a lot of issues with what they call ghosting. Now that's scary. I've seen some clips. I will put some up in the corner here so you can see exactly what happens there. It basically means that the board fails to recognize that you've lifted your foot off of the front foot pad, keeps the motor engaging, and it will just zip past you like a bullet, and it will not stop until it hits something and falls onto its side. That can be very dangerous. They are trying to address that issue. In a moment, we'll look into some of the controversy. But this, I found, has been one of the most stable models. The Pint and the XR have been fantastic. Everybody loves them. I've got a friend in town. He owns a Pint and an XR and loves both of them. Going back quickly to Simple Stop, if you do turn off Simple Stop, the cool thing about that is that If you lean forward and you slow down and then you lean backward, the motor stays engaged but reverses. So you could just balance back and forth the entire time. I've seen videos of people on Zoom meetings just back and forth in their living room. It's really fun. It allows for a lot of tricks. You do see a lot of people taking these out to skate parks or trails, and I mean, I've seen people do kickflips with these, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. I would never try anything like that. You can do rail slides. Like I said, it's built like a tank. All of this aluminum, all of this heavy-duty plastic, these things can take a beating. And I know I've dropped this a few times. Luckily, I've not had any bad crashes. I did slip off of this one day when the roads were very slippery and slid on my back for about 20 feet. Somehow did not injure myself, luckily. I have seen a lot of really bad injuries on it, though, and that happens. It's just like a bicycle, just like a skateboard. There is some risk that you have to accept, and you have to be ready for that. But when you're going 15 and today up to 30 miles an hour, there are chances that you're going to fall off this and really hurt yourself. And that's why safety gear really comes, that's what you need. At the very least, if you're riding one of these, same with the bike, same with the skateboard, anything, wear a helmet. I've seen too many people get injured, have traumatic brain injuries, or break a collarbone, or a leg, or, forearm. It can be dangerous, but you have to kind of learn how to read the board, how to know when you're pushing it too far, what you can and can't do. This model was the first to introduce what they called pushback, which is a very good safety aspect. Basically, you've got this motor and it is taking measurements, like I said, 14,000 times a second to make sure that it's balanced, so that as you lean forward, the motor is turning at a fast enough rate to keep the board level. And of course, as you lean forward, it's not going to stay level, but the motor compensates for that by putting more power into it and keeping it relatively level. The most dangerous accident you can have on one of these is what they call a nosedive. So you're riding and you're pushing it too far, and if you go through what they call pushback, which I'll explain in more detail in a second, if you push beyond that, or if you go up a hill too steeply, if that nose hits, the board's going to stop, but you are not, and you're gonna go. If you've been a skateboarder, you know how to run through things. You lose your board, you keep running, you tuck, you roll. Rolling helps dissipate a lot of that forward momentum, so that you don't really injure yourself as much. But it is still a very real possibility. Now, they do have some third-party parts that can mitigate that to some extent. You can get tiny little wheels, basically, on the front that prevent it from digging into the ground. They kind of roll along it. Again, pushback is something they designed. If you're pushing the motor too heavy, it will purposely push the board back and tell you, hey, I can't handle this. You need to chill. You can push through that. Some people do. It's not recommended. Again, safety is a very big concern with these. So if you are riding one of these, I can't stress more than anything, wear a helmet. At least wear, during the races, a lot of the kids, the adults, everybody, they've got elbow pads, knee pads, wrist guards are very important. Some of your big riders, they'll wear full motorbike helmets. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to go down that road. So again, they've been getting a lot of flack in some of the news recently because of those safety risks. At the end of the day, it's up to you. You know what you're getting yourself into, or at least you should know what you're getting yourself into. So just be smart. As with anything else, like I said, a skateboard, a bike, a dirt bike, a motorcycle, even a car, do the right thing, be smart, follow any safety standards, and just be aware of your surroundings. Especially, you can stop pretty quick on it. I've had to come to a halt very quickly when someone in a car didn't notice me, and sadly I didn't notice them. I've been lucky. I know one day I'm going to fall, but we're going to see. Either way, so far I've loved this thing. It has done a really great service. It's just so much fun to ride. You can ride it in any, well, not any condition, most conditions. I've ridden this throughout the winter. As long as the roads are dry, as long as there's no ice, it'll plow through it. Slush? No. That's how I crashed the first time. Very, very light rain is okay. Puddles are okay. It is water resistant. It is not waterproof. However, there are some third-party companies that allow for waterproofing. They have some sealants and, some rubber rings that can go around the battery and the electronics compartments. But you're still working with batteries and an electric motor. It's never going to be perfect. Don't take it for a swim. But it's done pretty well so far. I've enjoyed every bit of it. And I do want to upgrade it sometime. Like I said, I did a really crappy spray paint job one day. I just wanted to have fun. But I am going to be upgrading it soon. There are a few different companies out there that make some fantastic third-party parts for this. You can get different foot pads. There's a company called, what are they called? Float Life. They make some really good ones. And apologies, I'm looking at my notes because I can't remember all of this. Craft and Ride, that's who it is. That's ones I want to get some. They make guards for the rails over here to protect them from nicks and dings. As you can see, this thing will get messed up. Again, 2,000 miles and it's still going strong. It really speaks to the quality of how well these are built. But if you want a little bit more, you can customize it, different colors, different designs. Foot pads, they make some that are a little more squishy. It can take a toll on your feet. You want to wear some good shoes. I prefer wearing my Vans. I know a lot of skateboarders love Vans. It really depends on your preference at that point. But they make different foot pads for that. You can replace the grip tape if it gets worn out. You can add battery packs even. They make some that strap to the top for some of the larger models, and that'll extend your range sometimes double. The Pint, there's a third party that makes what they call the quart battery. Quart, double of a pint. That'll extend this range up to about 20 miles with a top speed of, I think, 18 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. I never push mine that fast. Honestly, a little scared. I don't need to go that fast, and I'd rather take a nice, smooth, leisurely float throughout the city one day instead of trying to push it and the higher chance of crashing on it. But you can get all of those accessories from multiple places online. Now, there has been some controversy when it comes to their replacements. They don't like the whole third-party or right to repair idea. They want you to send it in to them. But if you find a good shop near you, you can replace the tire yourself. There are a lot of places that are certified to work on these. Again, if you don't go to one of those, you void your warranty, much like an iPhone or something similar. But there are options out there. It depends on how ballsy you are, if you really want to go for it, or like me, I haven't done any upgrades yet. I'm content with how it is, and I'm just going to keep riding along and see how everything goes. push it as far as I can. Definitely going to upgrade this year. Maybe I'll do another video, show you what I've changed. I'm going to change the paint job soon. I'm tired of it. It's chipping. It doesn't look good. But again, it's absolutely wonderful. If you've been thinking of getting into one of these, talk to some of the people. If you see someone that has one around town, the community seems to be very friendly. They're very welcoming. I saw these. I thought they were cool. I saw one guy riding one on the way home one night and talked to him for a moment. He let me try it. I was on it for maybe 1 minute, and that was all it took for me to say, yes, I got to get me one of these. So try it out. If you know somebody, try it. It's really not that hard to get used to. It seems scary just to think of getting on one, but it's extremely intuitive. I'd say within 15 minutes, I was on the road going, and it was the coolest thing ever. I can't stop geeking out about it. So try it out. There's a huge community. There are many subreddits. There are local Facebook pages. I live in Michigan. There's a Michigan Onewheel group, and they organize group they call them floats, because you basically feel like you're floating. Like I said, like a snowboard, you just kind of coast along. There's so many people out there that are more than happy to join up with you, go for a nice relaxing 8-mile, 10-mile, 2-hour ride, whatever. You can talk, you can hang out, stop, grab some lunch, charge it, and keep going from there. Charging for these is actually pretty quick. This one takes about 1 hour and 40 minutes to charge, and some of the superchargers can get you up to full charge in less than an hour. It depends on what battery you have. It depends on what model you have. But I'm really excited to see what they have coming in the future. I'm hoping for hot swappable batteries one day instead of a dedicated bolted in battery, something you could pull out and pop a new one in. I could keep 5 of those in my backpack and just ride all day, which would be absolutely fantastic. Maybe someday they'll come out with it. Again, they've only had a few models for the last few years, and just now are coming out with new ones, so I would expect in the next year or two that we're going to see some more coming out. There are some, I guess I'd call them knockoffs on the market. Some of them are great from what I've heard. They do have their issues. This still seems like they know what they're doing more than anybody else, though. So, again, give them a look. Check them out. It's a lot of fun. Be careful. Be safe. But get out there, get on one, ride around, and just enjoy it. It's a very smooth ride. I don't know what else I can say. It's just a hell of a lot of fun. So, yeah, I guess it kind of turned into a review. Just wanted to give you a little history on them, where they came from. Not many Kickstarter projects come to fruition in such a way that this did, and I say more power to them. We definitely need to look into the future on the right to repair, some of that internal politics, but for what it is, I don't think you could get much better. So that's the pint for y'all folks, and with that, hope you learned something new. I'd say I know I did, but I really didn't, because I've been riding this for over a year. But I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you have one of these, please share your story. Let us know what you think. Have you fallen? Send us some of your crash videos, or just your videos of you floating around. Maybe we can do a compilation of some of the people out there riding. Crashes are fun. We all know we love to laugh at videos of people falling off skateboards or this. Still take safety into consideration. But let us know your experience if you've had it. Drop a comment down below. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We have been doing very well with the channel recently. I know Will's video is over 6,000 views. We never thought we'd see that after other videos only hitting just a few hundred. So thank you all for engaging in our channel and watching this. I hope this video does as well. So let us know what you think. That's the Onewheel, and float on. Hope you learned something new. I think I might have. We'll see. Take care, guys.